I'm Gary McNeill. I'm the head golf professional at Royal Portrush Golf Club.
Welcome to our first Top 100 Clubhouse road trip. Last month, we travelled across Northern Ireland, playing some of the finest courses this beautiful little country has to offer, and it did not disappoint. We had the chance to play Royal Portrush, Portstewart, Castle Rock and Royal County Down. And during the next 4 weeks, we'll be sharing the best content with you from our trip. We'll have long-form videos of all the courses, interviews with key figures from the club, along with a whole load more reels and photos. We can't wait to share it all with you, and I really hope it just encourages you guys to get planning on your next golf trip. So let's dive into our first interview with the team and Gary at Royal Portrush. We're very fortunate to be sitting in your fantastic clubhouse here.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not a bad little house, is it? Yeah.
Do you get treated quite well by the staff here with the...
Most of the time. They're not treating me very well. I won the Grand National Sweep on Saturday, so they're...
in the clubhouse?
Yeah, here, yeah. So amongst the staff, so they're not treating me very well at the minute. They want me to buy drink with the money that I won, so...
Yeah, I think I had a fourth place with Galvin each way, but...
Okay.
So... I would love to ask how you first ever got into golf. What was the first golf experience for you?
Well, my parents didn't play golf, but my father's brother did.
Okay.
And he was a member at Warren Point Golf Club, which is in County Down, not far from Newry, between Newry and Newcastle.
Yep.
And a very nice golf course there. And he spotted me actually having a few swings with a few swipes with a hockey stick around the backyard at where I lived. And figured with a few golf lessons and might be able to make a golfer out of me. So I was dispatched down to Warren Point to Don Patterson, who was a great coach, great teacher, and he was the golf pro there at the time. And he'd been very instrumental in the early years of Ronan Rafferty's career and a lot of other players that came through from Warren Point as well. A lot of Walker Cup players like Paddy Gribben and you know real good amateurs, Jim Carville and so on. And I got into it in a big way. And, initially I played, just in sort of school holidays and what have you. And then when I was about 14 or 15, a championship came to, boys championship came to our course. And I managed to get into it. And I got through the qualifying rounds and got into the match play. And I was hooked. I got beaten early on in it, but I was hooked, and it was all about competing then, and I really got into the competition side of it and started to work hard on my game. So, and that's where it all started, and went on and represented the club and province and country and everything else, and won a few championships along the way as well. And I had a lot of fun traveling the world and playing amateur golf. But I figured that we had to try to figure out a way of making a living some way or other. So where a lot of, my contemporaries at that time, like Paul McGinley, Darren Clark, Padraig Harrington, went on and had, wonderful careers in the game. I chose to go down the business route and go do my PGA training. And I did that at Royal County Down with Kevin Whitson as the head pro there, a great guy. And so I joined them there when I was 23, I think it was, 1993. And but 4 very happy years there, a couple of years in Dublin, coaching after that, and ended up here at Portrush in 1999. So it's been good fun along the way.
So I've got a few questions coming from that. First one is, it's not often that someone who obviously played to your level is able to play in a competition at their home course. Did you find that as an advantage versus the rest of the field?
It probably was, yeah. I think I probably scraped in off my handicap at that time. It was probably because somebody pulled out. And but I was intrigued by the whole thing. And actually one of our guys won it. Paddy Gribben actually won the event, and there was a big crowd out watching the final. And I thought, this is I'd like a piece of this. This would be something cool to do. And so I think when you're around a lot of good players as a junior, it really spurs you on. It makes you play better, makes you try harder, makes you work harder, and practice better, and to keep up with them. And I think I was certainly in my early years surrounded by a lot of players that were better than me, and I was forever trying to, achieve the levels that they were at, and that helped.
I know Rory Best was here earlier, but it's a great example of a group of brothers, where maybe a younger brother or one of the brothers goes on because they all drive each other.
That's right. Yeah, no, Rory was a great player. Rory's from my neck of the woods. He's just down the road from me in Points Pass. And yes, his brother Simon was a marvelous player as well. Great ambassadors for this country for sure.
Well, that's it. It's if you have that breeding ground where you have a number of skilled players, it can really be a driving force for everyone.
Absolutely.
Ronan, I know having people like Ronan and stuff who've coming from that club, it shows that you've had a lot of skill and talent coming from there. What do you think was it the coach, the head pro at the time was the main reason? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, Don was a great motivator. He really put a lot of time and effort into the juniors. He would get us, gathered up and, on teams and enter us into all the sort of inter-club things. And, he was a great driving force at that time and a great instigator of making things happen. And he was very highly regarded within the PGA. When I went through the training, I know a lot of what we did in terms of learning how to coach and learning the golf swing was down to stuff that the likes of Don had helped to put together. And we're still, using very similar stuff right to this day.
So what was what did you win? Said you won a few things. What was the things you won?
We have lots of. Ireland's very fortunate that we've got 4 provinces in Ireland: Ulster, Munster, Connaught, Leinster. And in my day, each province had a boys' championship. We had an under-18 championship, and then each province had a youths championship as well, which was under 22. So when youths golf's pretty much done away with now. We don't play youths golf anymore. It's much more underage stuff now. It's under 16s, under 14s, etc. And then each province has a men's championship, like the North of Ireland, South, West, East, and so on. So I along the way, I won a few of the provincial championships, boys championships, Leinster boys, and I won the Irish boys championship as well.
That's serious.
So that was a good one to get. I trying to think now. The biggest win for me as an amateur was the Irish Amateur Championship.
Oh, that's wow!
So that was the one. So there's not many have won the boys championship and the amateur championship as well. So the double exactly. And I won that at Ballybunion.
Oh wow!
In 1991 it was. So I was 21 years of age, and I hadn't had a particularly good start to that season, but I started to play well here at the North of Ireland in July. And then we had a couple of other championships with the South of Ireland at Lahinch and the Mullingar Scratch Cup, which is a big one over here, 4-rounder. So I got on a nice run of form, and the Irish Amateur Championship was usually typically the last big event of the season here in Ireland, and so managed to win that at Ballybunion, and then we had home internationals that year at Ross's Point, County Sligo. And we won the championship there as well. And so tradition is that the champion plays number one in the singles in the internationals, and so that was a lot of fun, playing number one in the singles, and I didn't lose any of my singles matches. 2 wins and a half at Ross's Point, and great to win the championship there.
It sounds like it's very easy for Ireland to breed high quality players if your majority of your amateur tournaments are being played at places like Ballybunion, Portrush, Lahinch. Yeah,
you're quite right, and I mean Darren Clark and Paul McGinley have spoken about this, and we're playing on quality golf courses. Baltray for the East of Ireland Championship as well. The Irish Championship typically moved around the province, the various provinces from year to year, and was always at a good venue. In those days, amateur golf was really on the crest of a wave here. I mean, we were producing very, very good players. I mean, in my time, I mean, Clark was an incredible player in the making. You could see that. McGinley, Harrington were steady amateurs, but then really started to play well once they, got into their 20s and got Walker Cups under their belts and so on. And went on to have marvelous careers in the game. But it's a wonderful grounding, and it was a great system here. I'm not sure that we're creating the same level of players at this stage. Post Rory, Tom McKibben's probably our best player.
Very nice boy as well.
At the moment. Yeah, I mean, Tom's doing great things out there, but I'm not sure that there's maybe too much emphasis on underage stuff and not enough sort of between 18 and 22 or whatever, which is when a lot of those guys really came to the fore, back 30, 40 years ago.
You think a lot of people might have been, especially in Northern Ireland, might have been inspired by Rory, but it sounds like it was the opposite. It's kind of like we've gone through a lull since him.
There's lots of young people playing golf, but not many making it to the point where they're going out and cutting it on the tours like Tom did. But look, maybe it'll come again. You have a few guys there, like maybe Seamus Power and so on that's doing well on the PGA Tour. But we'd love to see our Irish players doing well, and the Irish are great at getting behind their players as well. So hopefully we'll see a bit more of that in the coming years.
Absolutely. Right. Let's get to Portrush, because that's what we're here to talk about. We're here at Portrush. When you joined the club, in what year did you say it was?
1999.
1999.
Yeah.
How different a golf club was it then to what it is now?
Well, at that time, it was certainly on the kind of the tourist trail, if you like. The visiting golfer, the traveling golfer was making his way here. I mean, a lot would have made their way into Northern Ireland and probably played Royal County Down, and then maybe travelled back down to Dublin again. Maybe a day trip up to Northern Ireland. But I think back then, we certainly got quite a bit of throughput in those days. But there's a lot more reasons to come up to the North Coast now. I mean, we've got, great golf courses around us here. Portstewart just next door. Castle Rock's very good. And then over into Donegal, where you've got, quality golf courses like Ballyliffin and the courses at Rossapenna, St. Patrick's Links, for example, the magnificent new golf course there. So there's more and more people have found their way into the north of Ireland, or the north of the country, and into Donegal specifically. And there's loads going on over there, like some Nairn and Portneuf and Crutch Island, even the 9-hole course. I mean, they're really starting to attract a lot of traveling golfers there. So it was probably in those days. Lots of member play as well, but like it is now, and we still have a lot of members playing on the course here. But you could probably find a tee time quite easily if we needed to get somebody out. Maybe a little bit trickier these days when things are sort of booked up, a year or two in advance. But no, it was an interesting time, and for me, coming to a place like this, I mean, I knew the club quite well. I mean, I knew my way around the golf course. I'd played in lots of North of Ireland championships and lots of events up here over the years. I think one of the first things that I was trying to sort of ascertain was, well, what about the Open? We have this rich history where there's been an Open Championship here at Royal Portrush, and is this a possibility, or what are the chances of this happening again? And certainly at that time that wasn't going to happen. It's been lovely to see over the last sort of 20 or 25 years things coming together here. I mean, we had a Senior Open in 2004, and then not really much between that and when we hosted the Palmer Cup in 2010. That was a very nice event, and it sort of it happened to collide with Graham McNeill winning his US Open over in Pebble Beach as well. And we had two players on the US Palmer Cup team who'd actually played in that US Open, Russell Henry and Scott Langley. who were delayed getting here because they'd made the cut and they were joint low amateurs, and the two of them had to stay on. So, and we had marvelous weather, and the event was, officiated by the RNA, and there was a lot of chat at that time about, gosh, this is such a nice place. We didn't realize Portrush was as good as it is, and what a marvelous golf course, and they enjoyed being here, and I think that. If you start to factor in what McIlroy achieved and what Harrington achieved and Clark and of course Rory around about that time, that there was a tremendous focus of attention on Irish golf and Northern Ireland in particular. And I can remember when Darren won at Sandwich that the question arose about will we ever see an Open in Northern Ireland, and and he was. He felt very strongly about it, and you could tell that Peter Dawson, seemed to be very much behind, an Open coming here. And of course, the rest is history. We happened to host a incredibly successful Irish Open. The first event ever to sell out on the European Tour.
Seriously,
it was, yeah. And we had the guts of 140,000 people, I think, came through for that
Seriously?
Irish Open in 2012 when Jamie Donaldson won.
I think that's the same number that attended the Muirfield 2013 Open.
Yeah.
That shows you just so people have an understanding of how many people that is.
How many people it was, yeah. It was mega. And it was we had a marvelous tournament. The RNA were on site. They were observing what was going on, and they could see that things were working, and with a few tweaks here and there, and they could work even better. And then, we had then a situation where, if we can make some adjustments on site here, that this can become a reality. And of course, thankfully, the members were very much behind it as well. Of course, it had to be ratified by them. We had an EGM, and it was virtually a unanimous vote on behalf of the members to go ahead and make the changes to. Have an Open come back here again. So it's been marvelous to see all that come together in my time here, and to come through the Open in 2019, and here we are. We're just over a year away from another championship coming through here as well. It's very humbling, I have to say.
Yeah, I can imagine that, especially from that arriving in 1999 to.
Yeah, that's right. As I said, the Open certainly wasn't on the cards at that time. But so a lot of things had to come together. And we had a wonderful secretary manager, Wilma Erskine.
I know Wilma,
and Wilma was very instrumental in bringing the people that needed to come together, bringing them all together, and getting things happening. And she did a marvelous job at doing that. And
on that Wilma note, I know she's not at the club anymore; she's retired from it. But I hear her name a lot when it talks about bringing the Open back to Royal Portrush.
Yeah.
Was she a real driving force with the whole situation?
Yeah, she was. She was very good. In Ireland, we have politics can be a tricky thing, but she was very good at dealing with the politicians and getting the people sitting down around the table that needed to sit down around the table to get things signed off and bring things together. So she did a great job at that for sure. Yeah.
It's I've heard a lot of amazing things, even from I hosted the championship committee at North Berwick once.
Okay, yeah.
And they're all just talking about, we barely had to do anything, and Wilma just did everything.
She did everything. Yeah. Great.
So for you, what was talking about the Open? What was it like prepping as a head pro for an Open, particularly as someone who's not been the host of one before?
Yeah. Well, we reached out to the other host venues as a new venue. It's something that we haven't done before, and I can remember Kieran Stevenson at Royal Troon, for example, who's my counterpart there. Kieran was very generous with his information and with his talking through his experience, John Hegarty at Royal Liverpool, Colin Sinclair at Carnoustie, and
John Hegarty's just retired.
He has, yeah. John has just retired.
Yeah,
That's
he
right,
has.
yeah. So these are the guys. If we went back year by year, we chatted to all of them. Brian Hodgkinson, who was at Royal Birkdale at the time, I remember flying over and spending a morning with Brian and having a chat through just what his experience had been or was on the lead up to it.
Well, for John, as John Hegarty at Royal Liverpool, it must have been a big thing because he'd just done what you were doing, which was first time hosting the Open.
Yes, that's right.
A few years earlier.
That's right. But the license agreement was changing a little bit as well, and from a retail point of view, we had to make sure that we complied with all the regulations and everything else, and the branding and all that sort of stuff. So, there was we found out about that end of things. We talked to the pros at the host venues about their experience, if they played, because the playing marker falls on the lap of the golf pro, and he either decides to do it or he delegates someone to carry that out.
Sorry, what was that? The playing marker.
The playing marker. So whoever plays on the Saturday, Sunday, as the playing marker. So
did you delegate yourself?
Yeah. No. So I did. Yeah, I decided to take it on and do it, rightly or wrongly, so I set about, a couple of years before then, starting to go back and play, in everything that I could play, and even if it was winter alliances or whatever, at least getting out there, teeing it up, getting used to going out and competing a little bit more again, just generally trying to get my game into some decent shape. And come the year of the Open itself, so my game was pretty reasonable at that point. I was happy enough. I wasn't sort of going out in the golf course wondering about what was about to happen. As luckily, I guess it fell on the odd number, so I did get to play on the Saturday, Sunday. So I had a wonderful experience personally at that stage. It's very strange because the week of an Open, the best way to describe it as the club pro is that you tend to get swept along by the championship, and you've absolutely no control about what's going to happen in the day ahead, because you kind of need to keep a very blank diary page, because people will come and look for you at very short notice to do be it maybe some radio commentary or some TV stuff or whatever, and so you find yourself sort of going and doing lots of different things and sort of facilitating people's requests, which was not a problem, but by the time we reached the weekend, with the very early starts and very late finishes every evening, and I'd agreed to do stuff for BBC Northern Ireland, which didn't go out until 10:50 at night. So there was no chance of actually getting home and getting an early night or anything like that. So by the time I got to the weekend, I was virtually running on fumes. Coming into that weekend. Well, we played okay. I got through it all right, and getting off the first tee was pretty tricky. That was quite an experience there, but I got drawn with Paul Waring on the Saturday morning, and he was lovely, and he was very understanding about the first hole. But after that, I was absolutely fine. Once I got away off the first tee, it was.
Did the members go out and give you a big?
Oh, there's loads of members out there.
I can imagine.
And I had a member and a friend, the Rocket, on the bag with me as well. So he thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Yeah,
that's a great nickname.
So, but he's a long time member here. And one of our very enthusiastic members, and plays a lot of golf. But no, we had a wonderful time out there, and I'm glad I did it now. We got some wonderful photographs playing, and some Sky cut all the footage for me and everything else, and I got to do it all over again on the Sunday morning as well. But the adrenaline of playing sort of really got me through the weekend, and then after the weekend, I was I was pretty wrecked after all.
I can imagine you just
a big
collapsed.
week. Yeah, and then of course we got pretty busy right away, straight after it. So golf courses opened on Monday morning. Our first people went off the first tee around about 6 o'clock in the morning,
and they're probably all coming in to buy stash as well
on the Monday morning. And what was left? Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of stock left at that stage.
Did you? I know you have a brilliant assistant. In Charlene, because I've heard her on a few things, and she cuts a well-known figure around here.
She certainly does, and she's a very good player as well.
Well,
and
out of interest, could she, if she was head pro, would she be allowed to accept to play in the British Open as the marker?
That's a good question.
If you have a female head pro,
quite possibly. That's something you'd need to. The Martin Slumbers would need to answer that question.
Now, I would love to ask you about the next Open.
Mm-hmm.
How different would you approach it, or do you think you kind of smashed it first time, so you don't want to change it?
I don't think personally I would change too much about what I do. I think on the run up to it, you see that you're, as a golfer as well as being the head pro, and you're kind of excited about the Open coming here as well, and you don't want to miss anything. So you end up probably being here a lot of the time when you shouldn't be here before the Open. I think I'll probably take a bit of a break before the whole thing kicks off the next time. We were quite busy, actually. I remember the run up to we had some teams that were doing well in inter-club competition. Our senior team was doing very well, and I remember on the Saturday heading off with them to Donegal, they were playing a match over at Northwest in Barton Shield or something like that. And going over with them and helping them, get set up for Sunday. And I saw them off the first tee in their matches on the Sunday morning, and actually drove back to Portrush, and that was the first practice day Sunday. So already at that stage there was a lot of activity around the place, and
wow.
for a Sunday practice day, I'm sure they put, I don't know, 20,000 people through the golf course for the Sunday practice day, which is pretty unheard of. But those were early in the week. I can remember the weather was particularly nice, Monday, Tuesday, and certainly those practice days. Anybody with a ticket for the practice day, A, got very good value, and B, they got to see all the players as well, because as you know, Tiger missed the cut, and Rory unfortunately missed the cut, and Mickelson missed the cut, and a lot of the kind of headline players weren't here for the weekend of the tournament. So the practice days have become very popular, with spectators coming in to watch the players there.
What do you think? Why do you think these players missed the cut? What was these big names?
I don't know. I think, well, certainly. This is not a golf course that you can figure out just in a couple of practice rounds. This place takes a lot of knowing. Shane Lowry has form here. He's a former North of Ireland champion. He knows this place well. He's played it a lot as an amateur. When he won the Irish Open at County Louth back in, I think it was 2009, he won there. He knew that golf course very well. He played a lot of East of Ireland championships there, and probably rocked up and played in the winter there a bit as well. So they did their homework. I think those that did well, Lowry particularly came up, I can remember, about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before the championship started, and he was here, spent an entire day here on the golf course with his coach and with his caddy. They played. I walked around quite a bit of it with them, and just spent a bit of time with them, but they spent 6 hours on the golf course.
Was there anything you learned from the golf course because of that experience?
Well, just watching Shane Lowry chip the ball and pitch the ball was that in itself was just enough for me, just to see that, because he's got a beautiful action. He's a beautiful short game. But it gave me a sense of, it's one thing me going out there and playing, but seeing someone like Shane, taking on dog legs and things like that, it's when you really see those guys and how they either attack a golf course or play a little bit more conservatively. Certainly that day he came up with a plan of how he was going to approach things, and I mean I think that the distance these guys hit the ball is remarkable, and they have to be careful out there because our fairway bunkers will catch a lot of people out. And I know that was part of Shane's plan, was actually really trying to take the fairway bunkers out of play a lot of the time and staying short of them and in certain situations as well. But Shane certainly got all the support when Rory didn't get through. And I think in Rory's case, he was really wanting to play well here and maybe just put himself under extra pressure because of that. And I think he felt a real sense of responsibility at bringing the championship back here again. I can remember when he came for a practice round again, before the championship week, he was, he was emotional about it. You could tell there was emotion in his voice when he spoke about the first time when he drove over the hill and saw all the infrastructure in place, all the camera towers up, all the grandstands and the hospitality pavilions and so on. That he knew that he was part of why this was all happening.
Well, it's one of the cool things about Royal Portrush is when you do drive over that hill, you get to see the whole golf course.
That's right.
The first thing you see is the fifth hole, and then a few others that kind of reappear, and then you see this whole expanse of just beautiful dunes and golf course.
That's right.
And there's not really any other open venue that you can do that to.
You don't. You don't quite get that. It is. It's a view you never get tired of looking at. And when you're away from Portrush and you make the journey back, as you're coming in from Ballymoney there, and you round the corner at the top of the hill at the hotel, it's a special view for sure.
Yeah, very much so. I'd like to move on to what is going on with the Valley course. Because I know Ebert's been in to do, and you're doing a few more hole changes to the Valley course to try and lift it up out.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, the Valley, to accommodate the Open, we pinched a couple of holes off the Valley, so we very quickly had to put the Valley back together again and make a full 18 again. It worked okay, maybe not quite as well as some people would have liked. And I think there was always a feeling that we would come back to the Valley again and have another look at it with a view to doing something maybe bigger down there. So we consulted with Martin and...
Can we just tell everyone what's just happened there?
No, just Jimmy Nesbitt doing a bit of heckling there, but no, Jimmy was a Winter League team captain this year.
Oh, was he?
He was for the first time, and made a very nice speech at our Winter League dinner, which is one of the highlights of our social calendar here at Royal Portrush.
Superb.
Yeah. So where were we? We're talking about the Valley. So so Martin came up with a few different options for us, and he put together, as he does. Once we decided on which one we were likely to go with, put together some very good fly throughs of the holes in their current state and what they could become. So with the end result is that we've gone for it's very much a front nine renovation here. This is the original front nine is going to have some big major changes to it. We've taken a couple of holes out and added some new holes. And for the first time, we're going to have some greens and tees that overlook the sea, overlook the beach, etc. as well. So it's a very exciting project. It's coming together very nicely. I'm part of the committee that oversees, signing off of the greens and so on, and meeting with Martin, meeting with the rest of the committee and the shaper Graham, who's from Dar, who does the all the shaping out there. So, but it's very exciting seeing it come together. And it's going to be quite a golf course. I mean, it's going to be up around the 7,000 yard mark as well from the championship tees. So it's going to be a proper test from back there. But it's at the same time, it's going to be playable by it'll be playable by everybody, because we're going to have loads of tee positions for juniors and ladies, every standard of golfer. So, but it's an incredible piece of ground down there. It's the real deal in terms of links.
100%.
Links, great turf.
And you've got these amazing dunes out on that side as well.
Yeah, and we so it's going to be a real sort of a 36-hole complex here, and that's we wanted to take the valley up a notch, really, to encourage people to come here and not just play the Dunluce Links, because everybody wants to play Dunluce, but so they also get the chance to come and play the valley as well.
It's well, that's very exciting for the club and all, because I know people will do 36 holes, but they'll run over to Port Stewart, just down the road.
Yeah.
So be able to host everyone on site.
Yeah, and
means you might sell a few more golf balls.
Exactly.
When the rough's up, especially.
Exactly. No, it's going to be something very, very special down there.
If you were a visitor coming from America, from wherever, what do you expect on arrivals at 9 a.m. or whatever? What's the club like to
pretty
visitor?
good. We've got a very slick kind of outside operation here, so they'll probably get met by one of our outside team, and who'll sort of point them in the right direction in terms of whether they want to use the locker rooms, or whether they want to go to the range, or where they want to warm up. We certainly in the pro shop, golf shop, we'll check in the golfers there. They'll get a friendly, relaxed welcome to a place. I mean, a lot of people are, really looking forward to getting out there and playing the golf course. For a lot of people, it's a bucket list course, and they've made a big effort to get here. And we understand that, we respect that, and we want to really give everybody a really good experience when they come through here, just helping anybody in any way we can before they go out. We get, my staff certainly will engage, and they'll chat, and they love to find out where people are from, and
I've noticed
what's going on, so that's what people will get. And then as they head off of the first tee and get out onto the golf course there, it's there's a lovely sort of build up over the first 2 or 3 holes. It takes you from the clubhouse area here up. There's a climb up to the first green, and then you've got the par 5 second, and the climb up to the third tee takes you to a point on the course where you can see right over the Dunluce Links. You can virtually see every hole from up there, and you can see right across to Isla as well.
Some of my favorite whiskey
from the third tee. Yes, some good distilleries over there, and a very good golf course at Macquarie as well. And then from there they work their way out to the shoreline at the 5th green, which is a very special place for a lot of people. You don't get too many of those sort of those green sites that are set up above the beach like that, and with that coastline is just spectacular along.
It's one of my favorite holes in the world.
It is incredible there, and. You get a day like today where the sun was out, and the white rocks are very very vivid, all the colors out there and everything else. And we've had to be very careful about the shoreline there as well. And there's been we recently carried out some stabilizing down there at the shoreline below the 5th green, because that did get, it's back about 45 years ago that there was a particularly bad storm, did take a little bit of the back of the 5th green away. So, but thankfully everything has held since. So
I know there's a lot of courses,
a lot of golf courses, a lot of links golf courses.
Us in North Berwick, we're not losing holes as yet, but we're losing quite big chunks of land.
So it's something that I know there was a lot of planning and a lot of red tape to go through to even to get the marine license to even get onto the beach to carry out the work that was required there. So, but hopefully, fingers crossed, those stabilizing measures are in place now, and everything will hold stable there in the future.
There's so obviously we're a rankings website first, and Martin has done a huge amount of work with the club to develop the course for not just the Open Championship, but to make it a better golf course and develop the second course. And you've got worked very closely with Martin.
Yeah.
The club must have a lot of joy with the work Martin's already done for them.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of pride in still that relationship working well?
Yes, very much so. I mean, Martin, I can remember Martin being here with Donald Steele back in the old days, when he was, sort of working along with Donald, and he's got a tremendous sense of, what needs to be done. I mean, he's studied the likes of Harry Colt and the great architects, and he's very good at delving back through the archives and looking at what's happened here in the past, looking at old minutes and photographs and things like that. So everything that Martin does is very sympathetic to the original designs, which is exactly what you need. I've had the pleasure of working with Martin or being around Martin when he's been out there making decisions on things and looking at the golf courses, and particularly with the Valley Links as well. There's a lot of trust in Martin and what he does, and as I said, when he puts his plans together, he brings them to life. Seeing a set of plans is one thing, but actually bringing it to life with the fly throughs that they can do now is marvelous, and that really shows your club member what's possible, what we can do with this. This is the whole in its present state, and this is what you can have, and it really helps to get it across the line. And but no, the seventh, the new seventh and eighth holes on the Dunluce Links that went in to replace when we relinquished the piece of ground, the 17th and the 18th used to be on. And I think that one of the great things is that when golfers go out and play on the Dunluce Links and they come back in again, and then they ask you, they say, well, which are the two new holes?
Yeah, okay.
We haven't quite worked out which ones they are, and I think that's a great accolade, and well done to Martin for seeing the potential down there and putting those two holes into place, and they have worked extremely well, and there's no doubt that they have enhanced the golf course. I mean, I can remember people doing reviews on the course, and it was always the first 16 are marvelous, but 17 and 18 are good holes, but they're on a very uninteresting piece of ground, quite flat. You got the traffic going past, you have a lot of hustle and bustle of the town and housing and whatnot around the place. So to have the opportunity to go out into arguably the most scenic part of the golf course and to build two holes, the standard of what Martin was able to do was outstanding. And
one thing I'm just going to go out and say I prefer 7 and 8, but one of the things I will say about 8 is when you're standing on the 15th green, the visual of 8 down there is very cool.
It is.
It's really watching other people play up that. It really lets you understand the hole better than when you're on the ground. It's quite interesting. You're looking back to what you've already played. And one thing I would say that's a massive compliment to the golf course is there's a huge amount of elevation change on the golf course. Yeah. But you never feel it.
Yeah.
And that was a skill because Martin's obviously gone down to one of the lowest points there.
Yeah.
And then come back up to the middle of the course, and you don't feel it at all.
Yeah, and you're playing golf all the way there. As you do that. Yeah, the changes of elevation are what probably sets Royal Portrush, Dunluce Links apart from a lot of the great links courses. Quite a number of them don't have. They're quite. Links courses tend to be quite low lying, quite flat. but a lot of elevation change there, and it allows you to do things. It allows you to have a lot of rolled false fronts on greens and that as well. And so there's loads of interesting features out there on the Dunluce Links, and it's
we've got a very special place here.
Yeah, it's a nice place to be.
I've got 2 questions. Last one, second last one. What's your favorite hole?
Favorite hole is the 5th.
The 5th, yeah, fair enough.
I think, yeah.
I think a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah.
I always loved the 4th as well. I think the 4th's a fantastic
It's a great hole. It's a great hole.
When you're with the President's House on the right, that's now becoming the hotel.
Yeah, the Dunluce Lodge. Yeah. No, I think the 5th. I think just getting to the green at the 5th is it's always a very special place just to stand and look out. And you have to remember, when you play a golf course and you're out there for 4 hours or whatever, you're only hitting a ball for 15 minutes of that. So there's a lot of time to look around.
If you're good like you, I spend a lot more time hitting balls.
But there's a lot of downtime, and to have something nice to cast your eye over while you're out there, I think that always makes the experience of playing on these great seaside links golf courses, where you have a coastline and you've got the sea and you've got lots of nice things to look out. That just is, it's a nice experience.
But that's one of the cool things about Portrush, is you always do have an interesting view. Every hole you're playing out to, whether it's looking back to Dunluce Castle or out to Portrush, you always have a beautiful view.
That's right.
It's really quite impressive. How the routing is so well done.
Yeah.
And the fact that you don't have the high walks, you have these beautiful holes that don't have any camber on the fairways. They fit into the dune very nicely, and you have these wonderful views. It's really impressive.
Yeah. No, it is a smashing place.
Okay, and the final question is top 5 favorite golf courses. Favorites, and I say top 5. I've had someone say 13 before. So just wherever you feel at home.
Okay. Well, Portrush is certainly in there. Do they have not in any particular order?
No order.
No particular order. Okay. Royal County Down.
Yep. Can I ask you? There's obviously, the world always talks about County Down versus Portrush.
Yeah.
Is that talked about within the clubs as well?
Oh, it's always a big question, that.
I'll be asking Kevin the same question on Friday. So.
Yeah. They're 2 very different golf courses. 2 very different golf courses. 2 very different settings as well. County Down, dominated by Slieve Donard, by the big mountain, which photographs don't do it justice. You have to be there and experience that to really get the magnitude of that mountain. And the Mourne Mountains. So the setting there is spectacular again. You're talking about golf courses where you have got you're in a nice environment to play. And it's a very different golf course. There's a lot of shots where you don't see the outcome, a lot of blind shots. But a lot of very greens that sort of repel the ball quite a lot there as well. A tough golf course to negotiate and work your way around. I think you always feel that at Portrush, if you're playing well, you'll score well. And I think at Newcastle, if you play well, you might score well, but you could also find yourself in a few tricky spots as well. So it's probably a more difficult golf course in terms of if you have a card in your hand and you're trying to put a score together. There's not much let up at Newcastle. It's pretty demanding right the way to the very end. But a magnificent place to play golf. I mean, it's one of the very special golf courses in the world for sure.
Well, that's one of the amazing things about Northern Ireland. For a small population, you have 2 of the top golf courses, 2 of the top links ever created.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's 2. What's 3?
That's 2. Ballybunion.
Yep.
Ballybunion's in there. Very fond of Ballybunion, just as a place, the people there, not least of all winning an Irish championship there. That was special. And I've had the opportunity to go back there a couple of times since, and it's been very nice to go back, and I've got great memories in Ballybunion.
If you go as an Irish champion winner in, do they welcome you with open arms?
Well, pretty much.
Yeah.
Kind of do.
But as a pro, as a pro at
Yeah.
Portrush, you must get some.
Oh
sort
yeah. And the pro Brian O'Callaghan is the head pro at Ballybunion. I know Brian for a long number of years. He was actually an assistant pro at Warren Point at my old club to Don Patterson. And so Brian was actually there as an assistant to Ted Higgins whenever I did win that one back in 1991. So, but Brian's a great host and a great pro there at Ballybunion, and it's always nice to get back and see them there. Right, okay, where are we now? So that's right. I'm going to go to Scotland now.
Hit me.
And I'm going to go to the Old Course because that is a super special place. And I got to play it about a year and a half ago for the first time in a long time. I remember going over and playing in the very first Links trophies, when they started playing that 72-hole event, and getting to play there. But it is special. There's something very special about the Old Course for any golfer. But going off that first tee and coming up that 18th hole is really, really cool. I'm very fond of Turnberry as well. I do like Turnberry. And
okay, so Turnberry's 5th on our UK list, and Portrush is 6th.
Okay.
Do you think Portrush should be above Turnberry?
Yeah.
You don't have to answer it. Don't worry. I'm just putting you under the bus.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Look, it could very easily sneak ahead of Turnberry, but Turnberry's great, and the work that Martin's done there recently as well has been spectacular.
Yeah, he's done a great job there.
It's really, really good. Those are my 5, and now they're all Links golf courses. I'm going to throw some of my favorite inland courses in there as well, because the one thing we don't have here in Ireland is that proper heathland, heather and pine thing, and I love playing that type of golf, and so I'm very fond, and I got to play last year Sunningdale Old. I got to play it last September, and I really like Sunningdale. It's a lovely place. I took a bunch of members over. We had a little match. A friend of mine, Nick Saunders, set up some Sunningdale members, and we had a nice game there. We played with Christian as well, Christian the pro, and we had a lovely day there. And Swinley Forest blew me away as well a couple of years ago. That was spectacular. And
another Colt,
yeah. His least bad course, I think he called it, or he referred to Swinley as. And I'm very fond of the Kings and Queens at Glen Eagles.
Do you know? I think the Queens is one of the funnest little golf. Yeah. It's just one of the most enjoyable golf courses. Yeah. No, Kings is going to.
Kings is.
It's a test, but
magnificent. Yeah,
it's just a magnificent golf course.
Beautiful environment to play in. I mean, we're not at the coastline, but you're in the Perthshire hills and rolling countryside, and just a lovely place to play golf.
Just fun.
Yeah, and so I've got 5, and I've thrown a few inlands in there as well, but they're all kind of heathy, moorlandy type things, which is a bit of a novelty for us here in Ireland. We have either parkland golf or links golf.
Yeah,
we don't really have that in between course. So it's always nice to play those well.
Well, thanks very much for coming on. It's been great fun.
Pleasure. I've enjoyed
really
the chat.
Interesting having you on. And I know you've had a very busy day, so being able to find us for an hour.
Yeah, no problem. No
really
problem
appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Cheers.
A massive thank you to Gary for looking after us on what was a splendid day at Royal Portrush and having that brilliant conversation. We did get interrupted a couple of times by a few celebrities, but Gary seemed very used to dealing with them. If you want to see a long-form video, go to our Top 100 YouTube channel and join us next week as we continue our Top 100 Clubhouse road trip across Northern Ireland. If you want to get in contact, it's official Top 100 on Instagram, or if you want to, just email me at james@top100golfcourses.com. And just remember, play fast, lunch slow.